Hello and welcome to the video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout as we look ahead to game week 10. My name is Joe and today I'm joined by Mark, aka the FPL General. Welcome, Mark. How are you?
I'm very well, Joe. Good to be back for another video. Another good weekend of action. Lots of good games. Not many FPL points for me as usual, but yeah, always nice to sit down and watch a few games and three free transfers available. And I feel like
Yeah.
ripping a lot of these guys out. So looking forward to this video.
You can shake it up a bit. So one of the themes of this video is we defenders, because there were some mega scores from defenders. Some of those on my bench, but those that follow any videos I will know will know that I frequently get bench points. But it's because I target a particular type of defender who is prone to double-digit hauls. And that's what we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at some of those double-digit haul defenders and see we can help Mark out with his transfers. Myself as well, I've got 3 free transfers, and some of you watching and listening might be thinking, how can I get some more points for my team as well? Obviously, lots of other things to discuss. Crystal Palace's fixtures turn from now, game week 10. That's the one. So it's a big fixture swing then, and they shoot to the top of the fixture ticker over the next 6 game weeks. So they look great for investment if you haven't gone there already. Also going to look at the Captaincy Matrix to help those without Haaland out, although Haaland blanked this week, so perhaps Mark's been ahead of the curve there, and as he put it, and also just to look at those, is Haaland the best one certain weeks, and also we're going to consider perhaps Gabriel could be the Arsenal captain of choice now. So there's some of the things we'll talk about. Meanwhile, do press that like button, does help us out. Do remember to subscribe, keep up to date with our latest videos and podcasts. Also, do check out fantasyfootballscout.co.uk for latest membership offers to get access to all the latest tools and gadgets to help you climb up your mini leagues. Let's have a look at your game week. 42 points, a red arrow, but it's nothing to do with your no Haaland policy.
Yeah, so I've waited 9 game weeks from the blank, and I still managed to get a red arrow when he does. That tells you my team needs some work, needs some surgery this week, or at least in the very near future. Just before I talk about the points that were scored, the thought process going into Friday night was I was planning to do 2 transfers, use the 2 frees to get rid of Pedro Porro, basically to get Gabriel, and to fund that it would have been Cunha to Enzo Fernandez. Then it came out on Friday, as it often does on a Friday. Arteta scares some of us away with injury concerns, and
Yeah.
Gabriel goes and scores loads of points. I should know better by now. But I also had slight concerns over Enzo Fernandez as well. He's been managing an issue. But it shook out okay because yeah, I missed the Gabriel points, but Cunha did score with an 8 pointer. I would never would have started Porro away to Everton anyway. I think Kudus would have been one I would have benched if those guys came in. So overall, no real damage done because Cunha kind of saved me on that one, and I've got the 3 frees now for more flexibility. So I really need to start picking up some green arrows. So hopefully some good transfer decision to come this week,
Yeah.
and hopefully a bit of a run to come. So 42 points, Pope and goal, no clean sheets. Virgil Defcon, but no clean sheet. Munoz played him for the goal threat, but nothing there either. Senesi with 5, unfortunately got the yellow card. Kudus blanked again, his time might be getting short. Nothing from Semenyo. Captain Bruno and had Cunha, and really enjoyed watching the Manchester United performance. I thought we were very good, Brennan Boom in particular. But Cunha and Bruno feels like they left some points on the table in that one as well. Bruno had some good
Yeah.
chances. He set up Bruno hit the post, etc. So I think getting the captaincy on a team that scored 4 goals only to get 8 was a little bit disappointing. But happy to hold Bruno longer term, and maybe Cunha survives a little bit longer as well. But I do always look at him as a possible cash cow. And same story every week. Strikers, Pedro Gyökeres, Chris Wood on the bench, nothing, nothing, nothing. And Porro was my first sub with 11. So that was, I wouldn't even say it was frustrating. He was never going to be in my
No.
11. He was either going to be sold or he was going to be on the bench. But yeah, maybe just a little reminder of what Porro can do. But yeah, I don't think he'll survive.
No.
It's got to be Gabriel in the Porro spot soon.
Well, consider this: Van de Ven's my first sub.
I
So,
feel better now.
so Porro is like, I look at that and 11 points on your bench, and I think that's nothing. So yeah, you got to get a 30 plus bench at least once a season to sort of invigorate you. Yeah. So one of the things, as we said, we're going to look at is defenders. So let's have a look at your team as it is at the moment. So you've got 3 free transfers. Do you want to just quickly run through your team there? Who you're thinking of captaining, but also who's likely to leave and who's likely to come in.
Yeah, so 0.1 on the bank. So it'll be probably more than one transfer used this week. So Pope and goal is fine. He's a long-term play. Virgil's been really, really frustrating. Liverpool don't do clean sheets, but he does get DEFCON, and if they are to keep clean sheets, he never feels like a massive weak link in the team. Obviously, Virgil to Gabriel is very obvious, but when I've got Porro, that feels a little bit better. So Virgil, Munoz, Porro at the back. And the defenders on the bench then are Senesi, just because he's Man City this week, and Anderson, who's currently injured. Across the middle, Kudus, Semenyo, double Manchester United midfielders, but I probably don't have the best Manchester United midfielder. And Saka's currently got the captain's armband because it's away to Burnley.
Yeah.
He came off early, but I think it was just illness, so he should be fine next weekend. And then up front, the misfiring duo, Joe Pedro, Gyökeres, Chris Wood's on the bench, who needs to be sorted as well, although maybe under Sean Dyche, he could be an option again at some point, but I'm probably not going to wait around for that. So there's quite a few that I could rip out here. I think Porro for Gabriel's obvious. I would need to free up money somewhere to do that. Kudus could drop down to someone. Cunha could be downgraded to someone. But it's probably easier to take some money from the forwards. Chris Wood could be brought down to a Krupi Jr. or something like that, or even a Thiago for a little bit more money. Joe Pedro, I would love to sell as well. And I'm not against Gyökeres out either because he really isn't doing much. But with Burnley next, he probably just survives another week. But certainly I would say Joe Pedro, Pedro Porro, and then maybe a third one in midfield, whether it be
Okay.
Kudus or Cunha. But I think after what Cunha did, I'd be inclined to keep him now.
Okay. So one of the things we were talking about before was about defenders, and one of the reasons I get the occasional mega bench score and frustratingly never a bench boost at the same time is because I target defenders with multiple routes to points. So attacking returns, and particularly goals, because obviously they're worth so much more, can get clean sheets. And now we've got to factor in DEFCON as well. So I'm looking for that sort of multiple routes, and also more importantly, clean sheets. I think that's the bread and butter of defenders, really. So I compiled a table, and I'm going to put that up in a sec. And I think all teams should have 5 of these of the defenders I've got, because they're all the ones that can get the mega scores, like we saw with Joe Rodon or Van der Ven. They're absolutely huge scores. Gabriel was another one as well. And I looked at your team, and at the moment, and you've got one of those players. So you've got 4 players who aren't in what I would call that sort of elite double-digit defenders. But because we thought we thought Virgil van Dijk might, he's not in that list. Porro isn't actually in that list either, but he is actually quite capable of returns, as you've got 11 points, even though on your bench, but 11 points there. So it's looking at those players there, and so let's see. This might help. Well, it certainly helped me in my decisions in terms of who might stay and who might go. But here is the defenders of. This is sorted by all matches, and it's a list of defenders. Now, how I've cut out some, and I've left with this bunch here, and this is because with the multiple routes to points, they've got at least a clean sheet. So if they've got no clean sheets, Brighton, for example, those type Wolves, they're out. So I need a clean sheet, or at least the possibility of a clean sheet. At least a goal as well. Assists are great from the odd court. Some take corners, those types of things. But goals are worth so much more. So I don't want to mess around. I want goals. Strong XGI as well. But that's not for all of them, but for most of them. Or lots of shots in the box. So even if the expected stats aren't saying they're of a quality, they've just got so much quantity. Something's got to go in eventually. And they're mostly regular starters as well. I have included Maguire because you're a Manchester United fan, though. I cut out those like him who've only got like 3-4 starts, something like that. But I kept him in just in case, because when he does start, he can get double-digit haul. We've seen him over the years get those headers as well. And also, mostly, they can get DEFCON, but not all of them. And in fact, the top one isn't. So we'll go through this list. I think you should be getting 5 of these. You only have 1. You have Munoz at the moment. So Julian Timber is the first name here. Now, his minutes per expected goal involvement, that's what it's all sorted by here. They're the strongest out of this, because he's had 9 attempts in the box, 12 chances created. DEFCON, forget that. But he plays for Arsenal, so he's got 5 clean sheets. And he's got 4 attacking returns, 2 goals and 2 assists. So I'm not messing around with this one. This guy's a good guy to get in. You don't have him. You don't have Gabriel. I mean, an Arsenal double up in defence does look quite strong. I'll bring in the third name on this list. I'm just going to skip the Munoz for a second because it's Calafiori, who on the eye test to me looks the best. I think he's had 11 shots. He's always getting forward. 4 chances created. Once again, DEFCON, forget that. But he's got 6 clean sheets. He's played a little bit more, and he's got 3 attacking returns, a goal, and 2 assists as well. And then further down this list, we've got Gabriel. He's 6.4, so you pay for it. Now, he's starting every match, even when he's supposedly injured. He's starting every match. His expected goal involvement isn't as strong, but his actual goals are strong. So he's only got 1 goal and an assist so far, but so much more promise there. 6 shots inside the box. The balls from corners seem to be aimed at him. So he's either going to get an assist or a goal, I think. And he's also going to get DEFCONs as well. And he's creating a few chances as well. Timbers and Calafiore creating more. So it's those 3 there. If I were you, I would be looking to get, well, obviously not just Gabriel, but doubling them up as well, because they're really, really strong. And I'm tempted myself to get a second one alongside Gabriel. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's I mean I say it every week. It's only idiots do not have an Arsenal defender, and I have to
Yeah,
include myself in
yeah.
that group of idiots at this stage because no matter what live score app you use on a Saturday or Sunday, when you check the Arsenal score, you kind of know what to expect. It's just a matter of how many goals have Arsenal
Yeah.
scored. I kind of fancied Palace to score, but that's me again not giving the Arsenal defense enough respect. They're just absolutely rock solid. Any game you watch, they always look in control. So this gets rectified this week. No matter what, I will have an Arsenal defender for game week 10. And I've missed out massively on Gabriel. Could have got him 3 weeks ago when he had the initial scare. I went for Senesi, and then he had the other scare, this week. But again, I think lessons learned here, especially with Arsenal centre backs and Arteta. Don't worry too much about what he says,
Yeah.
especially when they're very important players. So this list is useful for me because I do want to make some improvements in my defence. Obviously, I'm happy with Munoz. Good to see him near the top of the list here, so he's fine. And they've got the good fixtures, so I'll be looking to add some of his teammates in the near future. The I think because we've had 9 game weeks of information now, we've learned a lot. I think going into the season, we thought Van Dijk over Gabriel because Van Dijk will hit DEFCON more often, and he has got more, a total number of DEFCONs. But Gabriel's getting a lot more than we expected him to. His average is a lot better than last season. And again, at the end of the day, clean sheets is what we need
Yeah.
from defenders. And if Liverpool are not doing it, then having Van Dijk over Gabriel makes absolutely no sense at the moment.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people over the last 2 or 3 weeks have made that sideways switch. It's not a sideways switch; it's a sideways switch in terms of price, and they've been rewarded for that. So
Yeah.
it's nice to get rewarded for a very obvious move. So I'm just going to focus on no matter what I do this week, first port of call, get an Arsenal defender, and as attractive as Timber and Calafiori are, and maybe you could argue where I am in the rankings, I should be looking at differentials, but rather than differentials, I'd rather just getting good picks and grinding green arrows rather than trying to get,
Yeah.
big green arrows. So I think Gabriel's he's a very obvious one for me this week. It's just deciding who goes.
With these lads, you can get mega green arrows as well. So I, like many others, had Van der Ven on their bench. But say I've got those extra 23. So I've got green arrow this week. Imagine an extra 23 points on top of that. And that's what they bring to the table. Timber as well. He's been getting those returns. Munoz is second on the list. Let's talk about him. I'm going to get him in, I think, if I can afford it. I've got 3 free transfers like you. And once I do, I'll have 5 from this list. And so there will be more bench points to come, basically. So he's 5.6 now. He's bound to go up in price. Minutes per expected goal involvement, second only to Timber. Goal attempts, better. 10 shots. Create 6 chances. DEFCON points every 0.7 per appearance. So getting on for every other game, he's getting a DEFCON. And they've got 3 clean sheets, and they are top of the fixture ticker for the next 6. He's already got 4 returns, same as Timber. 1 goal, 3 assists. and all of them as well for bonus points. They're all very strong for that. So you've got Munoz as well. That is good. He looks. Oh, the term essential. I was about to say that. I think Gabriel and Munoz for the next 6 weeks or so are simply the best defenders to have,
Yeah,
arguably for the whole rest of the season.
yeah, it's just sometimes we overcomplicate this game. But Gabriel, absolute no-brainer.
Yeah,
Clean sheets, goals, defcons. Munoz, you strip away all the
yeah,
new scoring system. We play fantasy football for 20 plus years, whatever we do. We want defenders who attack, who get attacking
yeah,
returns, and can get clean sheets as well. And Munoz ticks all those boxes.
yeah,
So I've been on him for a long time, and obviously he's going nowhere else. And you look at the fixture ticker. I've got the next 5 weeks in front of me. Crystal Palace are top. If you don't have Munoz, then he is probably the first place you go, assuming you're already probably tripled up on Arsenal.
yeah. There are other Crystal Palace defenders in this list, so you can't go wrong. I don't think. But I think Munoz is top. Mark Gahey is next because he's also getting on the end of things. He's got 4 attacking returns, 3 assists, and a goal as well. He's getting DEFCON a slightly better rate than Munoz, definitely every other game. 8 shots, 6 chances created, 4.9. Very strong. He's cheaper as well. So if I don't get Munoz, I'll get Mark Gahey. And then further down the list, we have Mitchell as well, who's not too bad. And the other fullback there, 4 shots, 8 chances created. He's also got a goal, so not as strong. So if you're comparing him with Mark Gahey's better, and obviously Munoz is better still. Lacroix, not in this list. So if you're sitting there with him, on evidence so far, you've got the wrong Palace defender. So it is worth a sideways switch, I think, if you can afford it as well. So I mentioned that, but we're going to talk about Crystal Palace in a second, in a bit more detail there. But yeah, I think you've made the right call with Munoz there. Next name on this list is Van de Ven. I was going to get rid of him. I'm going to keep him now. And I'm going to keep him, not just because he scored that, but I think there's more to come. One of the reasons I got him in on my wild card was because he's 4.7 now, but he was 4.5. And I think he's actually had a price drop last week. Is because looking at Spurs, I thought him and Romero, they were just going to default to him scoring at set pieces. And that's what's transpired, and that's what's transpired in Europe. It's transpired in other matches. So Van de Ven, so he's sitting there with 3 goals. 3 goals is huge for a defender that's 4.7. Minutes per expected goal involvement really strong, as you would imagine. There's 7 shots, and he's created 2 chances, and he's occasionally getting DEFCON. Not every game, not even every 4 games, but occasionally he's getting them. And obviously, bonus is strong as well. Yeah, I think he's arguably probably maybe the best 4.5-ish defender there is. There is an element of sort of points chasing, people going, oh, get him in now. But I think he's a long-term hold, and the Spurs fixtures aren't very good coming up. But as it showed against Everton, who, like, you benched Porro, who's going to play a Spurs defender in that game against Everton? Quite strong attacking side, but I think I'll play him in games against Chelsea, for example. I think he could either get another headed goal, set pieces. I think he's another strong option.
Yeah, and I was just having a wee look at his ownership there. I think it's about 31%
Oh my
overall.
God, it's horrific.
Yeah, but I think the point there is though I think a lot of that is from game week 1, and there's probably a lot of managers who don't play FPL anymore. They've given up after the first couple of weeks, but Van
Yeah,
de Ven is in those teams
yeah,
because we spoke, we analyze everything pre-season. We pick out players that we think might be mispriced, and Van de Ven at
yeah,
4.5, a Tottenham
yeah,
defender shouldn't really be 4.5, especially, a man mountain like him who can be a huge threat
yeah,
in the box. And I think another point as well, what we're seeing this season, it's striking how direct teams are. There's long throws are back in vogue, amongst so many teams.
yeah, yeah,
And that's probably good for DEFCON for the defending team, and then it's good for these centre backs who are going up
yeah,
for long throws, not
yeah,
just corners and free kicks.
yeah,
So it's a very direct kind of Premier League we're witnessing,
yeah,
and I think that factors into these numbers.
yeah,
Van de Ven, it's obviously it's fantastic what he just done. but I find it hard to even still to get excited about buying them because the DEFCONs are not really there
That's it.
compared to
But this is what I'm trying to get into. The two big things that have happened for defenders, defcons, and what you've just described, the long throw-ins, the corners, the set pieces, they're all being aimed at these big centre backs with multiple routes to points anyway. And people are targeting defcon, defcon, defcon. But Timber barely gets defcon ever. Munoz, every other game max. Calafiori, no defcon. Van der Ven, zero point 0.2 defcon points. These are not defcon, but yeah, they're all the best in terms of multiple routes to points in any given week. So we've had to change your mindset from defcon to get defcon, but now I think it's gone too far, and we've forgotten the Munozes of this world, the Van der Vens. Like, oh, he's not getting defcon, but he just eased out 23 points in a game that no one would have predicted he'd get more than 2 points for.
yeah. But I still think, just to be devil's advocate, players here like Shalaba, Mark Gahey, who do well for DEFCON, which is a more repeatable
Yeah,
action.
yeah, yeah.
And those players, the way the Premier League's going, a Shalaba or a Mark Gahey could get a brace this
Yeah.
season. It's unlikely that Van de Ven's going to get another one. So what I guess the point is, don't chase the 23 pointer. He's in the mix. He's always been
Right.
in the mix, Van de Ven, this season, and he's obviously going to be more. People are going to be more interested after the 23 pointer. But I still fall on the side of over 38 game weeks. I think these other centre backs who are doing well for DEFCON will probably end up near the top of the list come end of the season.
Well, those in the live chat, well, not live chat, the sort of the chat after this recorded video, do leave your comments about that. Do you favour the DEFCON ones, or do you favour, the Robert Huths, the who famously got also 2 goals and a clean sheet in a game once, and those sorts of defenders who can get the double-digit hauls there. So obviously, me and Mark have different views on that as well, and you might as well in the chat. So do let us know. Yeah, you mentioned Chalobah there. Yeah, if I was going to go for a Chelsea defender, I'd go for him just for everything. But Reece James is here, but I cannot trust Reece James for minutes. Doing okay at the moment, but yeah, he's created 12 chances, those set pieces. Defcon points not very strong, same as Van der Ven, but he has got 3 assists and a goal. And he's very strong. But it's Chalobah you mentioned then. He would be the one I would go for because he's getting that DEFCON plus the goal attempts in the box, plus he's creating chances. He's scored 2 goals and an assist so far. So he is that sort of Van der Ven sort of sexy pick who's got those multiple routes to points. But yeah, you would highlight him. So we would both highlight that player as being a good one, but for different reasons. You because of the DEFCON, multiple repeatable actions, and me just because I look at the 2 goals and go, I want more
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah, but again, it goes back to your main point here
Yeah,
that there's multiple things
yeah,
to like
yes,
about
yes, it's
him.
true. Yeah,
He produced a very good save at the weekend as well, stepping out of
yeah,
defence
yeah,
and a good strike from distance. So there's something else that he can do.
yeah,
He's been ticking along very nicely, right
yeah,
since the start of the season. I had Cucurella for a while, and if I was to go back to Chelsea, I'd
yeah,
certainly look at the centre
yeah,
backs probably rather than
yeah,
Cucurella. So
yeah.
Chalobah is always an option.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how we arrive at that decision, it's, as long as the player's right. We mentioned Mark Gahey. Alderete is interesting for Sunderland. He missed out with concussion last time out, so he's going to dip off the radar. But he's got Everton next, and a centre back just scored 23 points against them. So Alderete, he's already got a goal. He's already got assist. He's only 4.1. He's had 6 shots inside the box, 2 chances created. Further down the list we've got Mukhele as well. 3 shots inside the box. We've got 4 chances created. He has also just scored a goal. He is also 4.1. Not mentioned here is Ballard. He didn't make the cut because he's not a regular starter. So these 2 lads from Sunderland, although Sunderland's fixtures aren't the best, I feel they could get a goal at any moment. And if they can combine that with a clean sheet as well, then you've got your double-digit defender. I've got Alderete. He's going nowhere. If you've got Michele, he should be going nowhere. And I think they're a great value as well. And I think they're absolutely brilliant for bench boosts, for just staying on your bench because they're so cheap, and then being able to rely on them as well.
Yeah, Sunderland are a bit of a gift this year, really, FPL wise. They've been really, really good. Great victory at the weekend. I think Shaq is a really good midfield option, if you need a cheap one. And the defenders are they just offer so much value.
Hmm.
They're really good defensive unit, very hard to break down. And
Hmm.
as we know, the prices are extremely low FPL
Yeah.
wise. Mukiele had his
Hmm.
Van de Ven game week, was it last week or the
Yeah.
week before,
Yeah.
with a goal and what 17 pointer
Yeah.
maybe. So you really don't need to pay up for defenders this
No.
year.
No.
It's actually I've seen a lot of frustration on social media, and I do share it myself. We pay for the Van Dijks and some of these guys, and it's the 4 million Rodons of the world that are getting the mega hauls.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's good for a game. Makes it
Mm.
different. And I think, yeah, we're talking about maybe Gabriel Munoz being close to essential, but
Yeah.
you also don't really need to have any of them because there's so many other good options out there as
Yeah.
well. There's so many routes to points with these defenders, which is good. There's a nice mix of the cheap guys, and then
Mm.
you're trying to bet against the cheap guys with the expensive ones, and it hasn't really
Mm.
worked out too much
No.
so far. Nobody talks about Gvardiol, for
Mm.
example, this season, where go back a year or two, he's a must-have.
No.
So yeah, it's been very, very interesting so far.
Yeah. So there's 14 names on here. We can only have five defenders. That's why I think that five of these defenders should be in people's teams. I'm sounding like one of those annoying content creators who tells people what they should do, but I would advise getting defenders like this. Put it that way. I mentioned Maguire there. He's more there because you're a Manchester United fan, and he could get double-digit haul, but he doesn't stack up price wise against the likes of Alderete or Michele from Sunderland, or indeed Rodon, but we'll come to him in a sec. Next name is Keane, really. So I think with Tarkowski, once again, you're looking at DEFCONs, and Tarkowski is the one, and you would assume he might be a goal threat as well. But it's Keane who is coming in largely because of an injury to Branthwaite, but he's had the 6 shots inside the box. He's created the chance. He's scored a goal. He's getting DEFCON as well, almost every other match. And of course, he's got the same clean sheets, and he's cheaper, 4.5. I've seen Keane in a few teams. I think that's a wise move, I think, because he could get a strong return at any moment. And Everton's fixtures are really good, actually, for the next. So they're third or fourth on the fixture ticker there because they've got some really strong fixtures. They've got Sunderland, who's actually quite tough now, but they've got Fulham, Manchester United, Newcastle, and Bournemouth as well. So while they might not get clean sheets, Keane might get a goal.
Yeah, Keane, always looks one of the most threatening centre backs
Mm.
when it comes to goal threat, and we've all just kind of written him off this season. We're just waiting for Branthwaite to come back,
Mm.
but I think there's been a setback there. So Keane looks good to go now
Mm.
for the next couple of weeks at least. Until we get our top up of five
Mm.
transfers around game week 15 or whenever it is. So I think what puts me off a little bit is just the clean sheet column there. Only two clean
Yeah, yeah.
sheets. Everton haven't been their traditional self
Mm.
defensively so far under David
Mm.
Moyes. And Tarkowski had a couple of errors at the weekend, which almost resulted in goals as well. So, but again, he's in the mix.
Mm.
4-5, hits DEFCON, is a goal threat, and I would expect their number of clean sheets to
Mm.
improve over the coming weeks as well. Under a good manager there, so yeah, another
Mm.
one. That's it. We don't have space for all these guys,
No.
but Keane is certainly on the radar as well.
Yeah. And final name is Rodon. 13 points this week. Hello, 4.1. Brilliant. Bargain. Minutes per expected goal involvement, not as strong as many of the others on this list here, but he has had 8 shots inside the box. He's created 2 chances. He's getting a DEFCON like almost every other match as well. And they've got a couple of clean sheets so far. He's already scored twice. So I might have missed out on Van de Ven's goals, but I've got both the Rodons so far in my team. And I've spoken about this before. I, I played him in previous matches because my team was bad, so he was like the best of a terrible bunch. So I just put him in. But now I'm actively playing Rodon over others as well, and over attackers maybe. And I would definitely put him in when Leeds fixtures are good into that defence there because he not only can get clean sheets but he can get those goals as well. Particularly at home, I think. So you've got West Ham, but then Brighton, Nottingham Forest away. Nottingham Forest away could be good. Aston Villa at home, Man City, and then Chelsea at home. Chelsea at home, you never know. He's playable, I think, there.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of these 4 million guys. They are playable, whereas
Yeah,
traditionally
yeah.
they wouldn't have been. They're bench fillers.
Mm,
You actually have benching headaches now with Mukieles and Rodons
yeah.
and Burnley defenders, which we never really had before. 2 goals for Rodon. I seem to remember him hitting the crossbar
Mm,
recently as well with another
mm,
effort. Just a really, really good option. The I was going to make a point there. Yeah, so I think back to my team from the start of the video, and
Mm,
it has Joe Pedro, Chris Wood, and Gyökeres who are doing diddly squat,
mm,
and it's then I look at this table, and it just reinforces that I should have, and everybody probably
mm.
should have a permanent fourth defender at
Yeah,
least.
yeah. Mm,
Some people are probably doing very well with five at the back.
mm,
Strikers are dead at the moment. There's
mm,
there's obviously a few that are doing okay, and Haaland's the obvious one if you're playing that way. But apart from Haaland, Volteman has been okay recently. Thiago's good
mm.
value. There's not many. There really isn't many.
No.
So I think 4-4-2, 4-5-1, even five at the back.
Mm,
Get your Christmas tree
yeah.
formation ready for Christmas. That's it probably is the way to go this year.
Yeah, because the other thing with I mean it goes in tandem the way that the strategy of teams is those set pieces target, the big defenders who will either get knockdowns or actually score. And that's but at the same time the big strikers who are up front aren't in many teams aren't the main focus. They're sort of there to cause chaos, as Arteta would say. And we can think of Gyökeres there, and Pedro, not even a striker really, number 10, and he's still not even getting shots there. So that sort of role is there to create chances for. Like when you look at Manchester United, I didn't even know is what's his name, Sesko.
Yeah,
Who cares?
Cisco.
Who cares who he is? Because the main draw is Cunha. It's Mbomo. It's Fernandez. It's all the players who having that, you know, having that striker there is just creating chances for others. So yeah, it makes sense to target this lot here, and not bother with a lot of the strikers.
Yeah, and again, Gyökeres is a good example. I haven't caught the last two Arsenal games, but you look at FPL managers on social media, and we it's safe to say we're not too keen on Gyökeres. But then you look at an Arsenal fan who's been in the stadium watching the game, who doesn't play
He's great.
fantasy, and they say this guy's fantastic. What he does for the team, the runs he makes, the space he makes for others, great addition
Yeah.
to the team. But yeah, frustrating for us, and we probably need to adjust. And yeah, strikers are certainly not in vogue.
So Gyökeres has got Burnley away next, so that could be a strong fixture. He could get a brace in that. Who knows? But
Or he
then he's,
could make loads of space for Saka to get a brace.
exactly, yeah, it could make, and that's indeed what could happen, and that's his best chance because then he's got Sunderland away next. Can't see much in that. Then he's got Tottenham, North London derby, and then Chelsea away, and then Brentford at home. These don't scream Gyökeres halls. So, but they do scream points for the Arsenal defenders and
Yeah.
Saka and Rice, who takes the corners as well.
And again, I think I said a few weeks ago, even if Gyökeres does score, the defenders can easily outscore him.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's I think we should all probably be looking to phase away from
Yeah.
Gyökeres and get two Arsenal defenders. And a lot of people have been quicker to do that, and they've done well from it. So well done to those. But yeah, certainly something on my mind. Gyökeres might survive Burnley. I'll get my Gabriel in this week, but Gyökeres out soon to get a Timber or a Calafiori certainly has a lot of logic behind it.
Yeah, I mean, we've been playing the game for multiple years, and over that time, we've seen these different strategies emerge. We've seen the sort of wing backs, full backs suddenly emerging and then disappearing, and we've had to change our FPL strategy accordingly, and then it changes year on year as well. But at the moment, there's been this change. The focus on set pieces, the focus on these goals from these defenders, and then the lesser role in some teams for strikers. Obviously, some strikers, Thiago, for example, at Brentford, Haaland, obviously, at Man City, those strikers are still worth getting, definitely. But we have to pinpoint them. But we're not talking about strikers so much now. Quickly, I'm going to look at Crystal Palace here because we've mentioned some of their players already. Their fixtures really do change. Brentford, Brighton, Wolves, Manchester United, and Burnley. These are really strong next five fixtures there. So I've sorted this by minutes per expected goal involvement, non-penalty. This is from the last 4 game weeks only. So I just wanted to get the most recent ones there. So it's just this is last 4 game weeks one. I'll tell you what I'll do, just so because people might. Just so that everyone knows it's last 4 game weeks.
I'm just while you're doing
Okay.
that, I'm just double checking. Palace do play Wednesday night against Liverpool away, so quite a big cup game midweek.
There is. So I personally have made a move early but just because of prices for Mateta. But he might get injured. But if he does, I've got a bench. So, but we yeah, after that Liverpool game, we'll see who's survived that, and we can start piling in. But Mateta is the main draw. He is an example of a striker, not like the ones we've been talking about. He's an example of a striker who is just goes for the shots. He's not there to mess around for the others. Well, he is as well. He's a good player, but a good team player. He's got 19 shots there, which is absolutely huge. A lot of those were in that one match. His minutes per expected goal involvement, non-penalty every 73 minutes, 9 shots on target. I mean, these are huge. He's created a chance as well. He's still only in 15% of teams. I think that's going to go up. And he's 7.7 now, 3 goals so far, but plenty more he should have been getting, according to those expected goal involvement stats. Not to be outdone is Sarr, who's also done well as well. So he's got that 1 goal and 1 assist. He's only 6.5 as well, so more affordable. Not on penalties. We still believe Mateta is as well, but he's had 6 shots and across his 4 starts in the last 4 game weeks. Created 5 chances as well. Another really strong option. And then there's all those defenders that we mentioned, of which Mark Gahey and Munoz are probably the main draws there. Chris Richards isn't the man who's getting on the end of things. He's the guy throwing things. So he's a lesser one. But nevertheless, he has had a couple of shots and a couple of chances created, and he's getting DEFCONs as well. He's a real DEFCON guy. And Lacroix is not the guy to get. He's 5.1, and he's the 4th best there. So that's Crystal Palace. You've already got Munoz, and you've got your eye on more.
Yeah, and I think two of the easiest decisions I'll ever make in FPL are this week. It's get Gabriel and get Mateta because Palace fixtures are turning.
Yeah.
GW10 was always my target to get them and get as many of them as possible. I quite like they've got a really busy schedule, but I quite like the Glazers really not rotating much.
No.
You know, especially the defenders. I think the centre backs might have played every Premier League game so far,
Yeah.
which is crazy given the run they've had. But obviously that is a I'm not as concerned about their rotation because he's been quite consistent so far with that. Now, of course, they can get the odd rest here and there, but I don't think it's going to be drastic. It's not going to be an Anthony Gordon situation where it's 70 minutes every week. So Mateta in, it'll just be deciding Chris Wood or João Pedro. I think Chris Wood out makes the most sense. But João Pedro gives me a little bit extra money if I needed it to do some other moves. I'm quite glad Sarr's been a little bit quieter last couple of weeks as well. I just think that'll keep his transfers in a little bit lower than it would have been. If he scored last week, for example, people will be piling in on him as well. And I think there's a very good chance I will bring him in also along with Mateta. Just go all in Mateta, Sarr, Mateta, Sarr, Munoz. That to me is the best triple up. Keep it simple. Get Gabriel. Keep it simple. I don't care whether I'm 6 million or 50k, I want the best picks. I want to go into the weekend thinking I can get the most points possible.
Yeah.
And I think those are the players to do it with.
Yeah, definitely.
All in on Palace this week is the plan.
Yeah, I think Mateta, Mark Gahey, and Munoz is also good. Sarr, Mark Gahey, Munoz also good. Any 3 of those top 4, I think are the ones to get there. But there will be people with Lacroix and Chris Richards. And they're still good because you're still going to get the clean sheets there. Chris Richards is going to get the DEFCONs as well, but it's not as strong.
Yeah, and just again a good point there. Munoz is what 5.6, Richards is 4.5. I think that's a massive difference.
Yeah.
And as much as I like Munoz and as good as he's been, I still think Richards offers excellent value, and I think I would still go Richards over Gahey. And again, back to my point earlier, I just think the DEFCONs are more repeatable there maybe than the Gahey attacking returns. I know Gahey can get the DEFCONs himself, but I just think, especially if you've got an Erling Haaland team, then a Richards at 4.5 is very attractive over a 5.6 Munoz.
Yep, definitely. Let's have a look at the Captaincy Matrix. So this is up to game week 14 I've done this for. So obviously of great use to you because you who you up against because with your no Haaland and indeed no Salah. No Salah. Let's remember Salah got actually a goal this week, but because
very did you see his goal?
No, I didn't. Was it?
It's really good. You did see it.
But he it didn't bother me as a non-owner because his ownership's so low, and so part of it was fear, with Salah. So still don't think I'll go there because Haaland's still the main one to get. But yeah, game
Very,
week. Yeah,
very sorry to cut in again, but
no,
it's
no,
very bizarre to be watching a Liverpool game, Salah scoring, and just being like, I don't care because it
yeah,
doesn't really hurt.
no, no. I know, but that's happened
That's
occasionally. I think because I've gone without him sometimes. But yeah, game week 10. So you've got a hell of a lot of choice, actually. Haaland's at home to Bournemouth. A lot of people like me will go there, but it's not necessarily the best. Saka is away to Burnley. That could be good. Sarr or Mateta, probably Mateta at home to Brentford looks good. And Salah, who is back in mini goal scoring form, at home to Aston Villa. I've got pictures here of Brian and Bomo, who we'll come to in a minute, Haaland, but also a picture of Saliba pointing at Gabriel in a way that he should be saying, should we be captaining him? Those that captained Gabriel last week over Haaland in game week 9 did very well. And perhaps Gabriel is the best one.
Yeah, it's probably not since the days of Leighton Baines, Seamus Coleman, these kind of wing backs. Have I seen as many captain defenders popping up on my timeline? So
Just sneeze there,
I see.
sorry.
Yeah, you're allergic. Joe's allergic to captain and defenders,
Yeah.
like
Ooh.
many of us. But yeah, Gabriel, he's absolutely viable because it's often not just a 6 pointer. It can be an 8 pointer, it can be a 9 pointer, and he's been absolutely flying in recent weeks. And when you look at a fixture for Arsenal, game week 10 against Burnley, even 11 Sunderland. I think, Gabriel, and you're seeing him now, anywhere you look on points projections, if you use algorithms, FPL review, all that kind of stuff, Gabriel's name does pop up, top five, top six of all players, which makes him a viable captaincy candidate. So yeah, I'm not going to do it. I cannot bring myself to captain a defender. Certainly not the way my season's going so far. But he's viable. If you're ever in doubt about you know, if you're between a couple of attackers and you're not sure, not too keen on the fixtures, you could just default to Gabriel these days.
So next up, we've got Haaland at home to Liverpool. Given Liverpool's defensive form at the moment, I don't think that's bad in game week 11 there. Bowen was in the list from last week. I kept him in here because I just wanted to mention it because he's at home to Burnley, so you would think that would be a good fixture. I think Bowen is still ticking along with points, so he's not a bad captaincy shout. It's just West Ham are in such poor form. I actually quite fancy Burnley in that one in game week 11. So he's just there, not because I think he's a serious captain, but it's just worth mentioning in how our thoughts around Bowen and West Ham in general have changed over the last week or two. You got Saka, or indeed Gabriel, away to Sunderland. I don't know if I fancy that so much. This one I kind of do. Might be because I'm a Brighton fan, and I've seen what Sarr can do to Brighton, and Mateta could do. But I think Sarr or Mateta could be the best ones for you if you get that, if you don't go for Haaland.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Again, I echo you. I don't really. I can say now I'm almost definitely not going to captain Saka away to Sunderland because I
No.
rate them. They're a very good
Yeah.
defensive side, and it'll be just a very organised low block, and it'll be a frustrating afternoon for Arsenal, and maybe a one maximum two goal victory. I would imagine. The Yeah, I think I'm going to be. I probably need to buy a Crystal Palace jersey because I'm going to have three of them, probably this weekend, and I am just about to start relying heavily on Mateta, I think, for the armband. It feels like that's the way it's going to go.
Yeah.
Double down on the triple up,
Yep.
Captain Mateta, striker, talisman, penalties, good
Yep.
fixtures, good team. We'll probably have, three or four decent chances in all games on average. So I do like the home fixture against Brighton for the
Yep.
armband that week.
Yeah, we as FPL managers like reliability. You can be relied on Brighton scoring. You can be relied on them conceding. So that tells you what you need to know about
Mm.
the players that are against them.
I think if Mateta does anyway well game week 10, he's going to be a very popular captain game week 11.
Yeah, yeah, definitely there. Moving on to game week 12, you've got Salah at home to Nottingham Forest. Could be good. Semenyo, this is the one I quite like. Semenyo against West Ham at home. I think that's very strong. Semenyo's been such a strong player. Saka at home to Tottenham could be good as well. And Sarr and Mateta, once again, you could rely on them. That's away to Wolves, who are being exceptionally leaky at the moment. I'm pretty certain it is because, in game week 12, Man City are away to Newcastle. So that's why Haaland's suddenly not on the list, although I could still be tempted.
Yeah, I mean any game week with Haaland is a good week.
Yeah.
I don't think people should worry too much about a blank. He's not going to score in every single game week. And I just going back, I do quite like him captaincy against Liverpool as well, given how Liverpool are defending so far. But back to this game week 12 we're looking at. I do like Semenyo home to West Ham. A very poor West Ham team. And again, Crystal Palace away to Wolves. It probably will be between those two fixtures for the captaincy. So again, I
Yeah.
think Semenyo, Mateta are going to be two very important players for me over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, definitely. Game week 13, this is where you need to get your nappy and sit behind your sofa because this is Haaland at home to Leeds. That could be very strong as well. Leeds are good. They're better than we think they were when the season started, but it's Haaland at home to a promoted side. Semenyo away to Sunderland, I like a little less. Thiago away to Burnley could be an interesting one as well. And this around game week 12 with Brentford, they play Brighton away. And it heralds, apart from Arsenal in game week 14, it heralds a really strong fixture run for Brentford, of which Thiago is actually a striker that's functioning at the moment. So he is potentially very strong there.
Yeah, I don't love the fixtures that week for myself there with no Haaland. The Brentford one is the one that obviously that stands out, but do I rely on Thiago? If he keeps performing well and scoring goals between now and then, yeah, then maybe he ends up in the team that week and gets the armband. Elsewhere, I'm probably clutching at straws, looking at the other ones. A lot of tricky fixtures that week that, games could go either way. Villa home to Wolves stands out, so it could be, having a think about Watkins in the run up to that fixture, just to have him maybe that week for captaincy. And if I have a Liverpool midfielder, who knows, a Verts or someone could be in form in my team at that point away to West Ham. It could be an option, or maybe even Isak. But yeah, we'll cross that bridge when it comes. When's that? End of November, so
Yeah.
not don't need to worry about that yet.
Yeah, game week 14. We'll end with game week 14. Haaland away to Fulham. Fulham are leaky. It's Haaland. Salah at home to Sunderland could be good. It's a home match for Salah. Bruno or Mbomo. This is the one probably. Brian Mbomo or Bruno Fernandes at home to West Ham. Current form. That looks like the best one.
Yeah,
And then Saka, or indeed Gabriel, at home to Brentford. I like that less. And Palmer could be back, and he'll be away to Leeds. But out of all of them, I think it's the Manchester United one.
yeah. Looks if West Ham haven't improved by then, and Bruno and Co are still looking good, then yeah, I think Mbumo's the man. He's looking the most likely. He's getting in the best goal
Yeah.
scoring positions, and he knows how to finish. As we know, Saka home to Brentford, maybe even Gyökeres has turned into the Brazilian Ronaldo by that point, and we're all captaining him against Brentford at home on a Wednesday night under the lights. And then again, Mateta away to Burnley. He
Yeah.
could be the one there. So Mateta's going to win the Ballon d'Or next year because
Yeah.
he's going to score loads of points over the next few weeks.
It's worth mentioning as well for that game week 14, Havertz could be back, possibly. I mean, that's a long way away, but I think he's back in some kind of training. They seem to be pleased with his progress. So that's just something to be aware of with Gyökeres. Then suddenly there's competition up front.
Yeah, I'm just looking. 13, 14, 15 is basically 3 game weeks over 8 or 9 days. So that's going to be rotation time, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, as you said, Mateta away to Burnley is another one to fit in there as well. I'm just going to put the fixtures up so people can see what we've been talking about. This is game week 10 to game week 15. Crystal Palace shoot to the top because they've got Arsenal out of the way, which is the toughest one. They got Brentford, Brighton at home, Wolves away, Manchester United at home, Burnley away, Fulham away. It's a really strong bunch of fixtures. Brighton's still really strong. They got Leeds, Crystal Palace, Brentford, Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa, West Ham. Lots of good home matches there for them. Everton is still strong as well. Perhaps not from defenders, but maybe their attackers. Sunderland away, Fulham, Manchester United, Newcastle, Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest. Liverpool's fixtures improved, so if you think Salah's going to improve much more, he's got Aston Villa, Man City, game week 11, but then Nottingham Forest at home, West Ham, Sunderland, Leeds. So it's game week 12. That's why at the beginning of the season, lots of people talking about the big fixture swing, game week 12. We can see here that Crystal Palace and Brighton are still in the mix of their good fixtures. Everton's still quite good. Liverpool start to improve. And then Brentford as well, we were talking about game week 12. They suddenly got Brighton, Burnley. do have Arsenal, but then they have Tottenham as well. So their fixtures do get better as well. Sunderland's fixtures not so good. They do have Everton though, game week 10, and they've got Fulham and Bournemouth, but Fulham in game week 12 is okay. The rest are pretty bad. Leeds are a bit low down as well, but they've got Nottingham Forest away, Brighton away, which you never know, especially for the likes of Rodon could get another goal. And then the rest of them are sort of middling really. Chelsea start to move down here, so we're starting to move away from Chelsea's very strong fixture run. They do have Tottenham. They've got Wolves and Burnley. They're obviously strong, but then they got Arsenal, Leeds away. It's a bit tougher now. Same with Bournemouth away. So I think the clamour for Chelsea players, especially with their form, is gonna dip. We're going to see a lot of interest in Crystal Palace in particular.
Yeah, it's certainly Chelsea looking at that Arsenal fixture in game week 13. We'll probably see a bit of a
Yeah,
drop off. It seems to be once you see Arsenal cropping up for
yeah.
any team, that's your exit point.
Definitely. So, I hope we've given some people food for thought. We've sort of gone a bit sort of meta there, talking about the different the different strategies and how we need to adapt, really. But I think it's quite important that we are adapting to not just the DEFCON, but also these changing strategy as well, where the likes of Van der Ven are getting these huge hauls, and I think there's going to be more to come from these types of players. And
FPL
so
need to FPL need to introduce a new chip second half of the season so we can play 15 centre backs for 1 week.
I'll tell you what, the chip I want is a retrospective bench boost one, where at game week 38 you can just allocate. You can either choose to play your bench boost game week 38, or you can allocate it to whichever one you got the highest score for.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, sounds good. I was just gonna say I want a retrospective season chip so I can start again.
there's that as well. That would be rather handy. Thanks a lot for your time. Good luck with the game week. Good luck with your decisions about your 3 transfers. Good luck all those watching and listening. Do leave your views in the chat as well, particularly on the defenders. Do you favour the DEFCON ones, or are you going for the sort of the Van der Vens? Those who can score as well, getting clean sheets and a few other things as well. Thanks a lot for your time. Take care. See you soon.
Cheers all.